years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider. The realest show for Raider Nation. 2 points of view. One verdict. You decide.
What's good, man? You know, y'all know what time it is, man. It's the 50-50 Show, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. You know, we like to do it's a late night. We the late night crew. You know what I mean? Y'all the late night crew, the night crew, everybody watching, y'all part of the night crew. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Clock in is what we like to call it. Clock in, man. We are going live on both our channels. Man, we got people pulling up already, man. Hey, man, my guy SoCal Sal in the building, man. He says salute Pharaoh and Severe. My guy, appreciate you coming through. We got Roseville Gunner says finally made a live with the best Raider live crew on YouTube. Let's get it. T Severe worked up tonight. Shout out Daniel Kim behind the scenes. Hey, yeah, shout out to Daniel Kim, my guy. I don't think he's pulled up already, but he's gonna be here, man. He's gonna make it, man. Mr. Consistent, the king of mods, as we like to know him. And then, oh man, the one, the only, man. My guy Raider Smoke in the building.
Raider Smoke.
Starts off the show with a super chat, man. My guy, appreciate the support. He says, yes, sir. It's about that time once again, man. Hey, man, appreciate you coming through, pulling through, man. Hey, like we usually say, man, it's Raider Nation, Raiders, it's 365 days out the year, man. There's gonna be something to talk about, and we're gonna be here to talk about it. So and we're actually gonna get into, you know, Malcolm Koonce. A little bit flag on the play. You guys already know it. Just stay tuned. But we're actually, the other day, we were able to talk to, Real Talk, Raider Nation Real Talk. Is it Real Talk Raider Nation? I'm messing up the flow right now, man. But my guy, we were able to sit down, talk some football. We were able to go to, if you guys remember, we actually went to Vegas and we're able to collab with Raiders 805, man, and have a great draft show in Vegas. And we finally had a chance to sit down again and kind of reflect back at the draft. You said something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and then we just wanted to we actually kind of reflect back because, you know, it's been a minute because if you guys remember, our initial our initial reaction of like the draft was crazy. Like we were kind of mad we didn't get a quarterback, and then we Brack Bowers, and after a while, I kind of eased up on it. Severe he's we're gonna talk about some things too. There's some things that we want to talk about. We're gonna hold off a little bit. But my guy Mark pulling up, man. Appreciate you coming through. Why everybody getting on you right now? Since Severe already hot. Look at Super Omicron, man. 50% positivity, 50% realism, like a mofo. Hey, why can't positivity be real though? You know what I mean? I already know. Hey, positivity. Hey, man. Look, man. I'm just saying, man. Positivity can be real too, man. That's all. Man, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say.
But
Raiders
we live life as Raider fans for the past 20 years, man. So generally, positivity ain't nothing been real about positivity.
For real. Nah, you ain't lying about that, man. If you've been a Raider fan, you've seen everything. You've seen everything. Raider Smoke says, same soup, just reheated, man. Back at it again. Just put these badass kids to sleep, man. Hey, man, good luck, man. Good luck. Hopefully you can stay tuning in on the show, man. We gonna be here. All eyes on G, man. Appreciate you coming through. Hey, all eyes. Put your IG on the I think it's the Maverick, right? Put your IG on the in the chat. Put your IG so we can shout it out. Let the people know to go over there and follow you over there. Man, we got all types of people pulling up. Oh, we got Niner fan. Come on, man. Go Niners. Come on, bro. Man, sometimes not everybody can make the best decisions, man. I don't know. Like exactly this crazy, man. Everybody is welcome to come through and watch the show, man. You don't have to be a Raider fan to watch the show. At the end of the day, like it's open. Just keep it respectful. And then 415 says, man, y'all haven't won in 20 plus years. What have y'all done? I mean, y'all made some appearances. Don't get it twisted. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like y'all made some appearances, but
always the bridesmaid, never the bride for them. It looks like.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But look, man. Let's not wait any longer, man. Like I said, we were able to sit down with Real Talk Raider Nation. Make sure to check out his channel on YouTube. Subscribe, and we were able to catch up. Like I said, we were able to do a live show in Vegas with my guy. It's been a minute since we had a chance to talk to him. So we were trying to see, like, hey, man, do you still feel the same way about the draft and the Raiders and how we were able to talk about that? So I'm going to go ahead and put that. Oh, you know what? Oh, man, hold on one second. You know what? We're going to have to work the chat real quick. I just realized something. It's all good. Hold on one second.
If you were thinking what I'm thinking, I think I realized it late too.
I just realized something real quick, but
I thought about it during the intro, bro. I was like, oh no.
Hey, nah, it's all good. It's all good. No, but we got people pulling up in chat, so we're gonna best running back all time, Tyrone Wheatley.
What?
Oh, okay, 415. Okay, I wouldn't say he's the best running back all time, but that. Sarcasm for sure. That's definitely sarcasm.
Yeah, for sure.
Coming from a Niner fan, for sure.
Man, shout out to Roseville, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, my boy had his first few touchdowns, man. He's excited. Got him working with the trainer, man. So
yeah, shout out, man. Shout out. And Mark wants to remind everybody, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification, all that good stuff. Give me just a second, Severe, if you want to hit up the chat real quick. I'm gonna put this together. Hold on one second.
It's a whole bunch of Niners in here, man. That's what's going on, man. Yeah, you got the Niner content creators must not be as interesting, man. Which is understandable. Y'all come over here for some flavor. It's cool, man. I'm with it,
man.
I'm with it. Y'all need the sauce. Y'all come over to the Raider chat. Yeah, man. Tyrone Woodley was definitely a dog, man. That 1-2 combo we had with Charlie Garner. It was definitely, man. Matter of fact, we was talking about the best backs of all time in Raider Nation, man. Obviously, Bo Jackson is up there. Marcus Allen. I got Napoleon Kaufman as probably my number 3 all time Raider running back, man. It was just a dude that's when I really started paying attention to football. So that dude was a monster, man. If he retired early, man, he would have kept playing, man.
Charlie Garner and Darren McFadden for me were my favorite running backs to watch. As far as exciting, like I was excited for them to, what were they going to do? I was always trying to figure out like what were they going to do with the football, like especially McFadden. McFadden was a funny running back because like it just felt like he always fell down on first contact.
He had those skinny legs, bro.
Yeah, skinny legs. He was getting hurt for a little bit, and then Hugh Jackson got in his playbook, play caller, whatever you want to call it, bag. Yeah. And him and Darren McFadden click. I remember that offseason where he kind of went up to Darren McFadden and was like, what plays? Exactly. Yeah. And the rest is history, man. He had a good couple years with the Raiders, but, injuries was definitely a big part of his career, not really getting to where he wanted to go with it. But so and let's see if I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and start this interview with Real Talk real quick. Let's see if it pops up. Let's see. What's going on? We got a special guest. I know you guys know this guy, man. This is Real Talk Raider Nation, Raider 805, man, in the building, man. My guy, what's going on? How you been?
Doing good, man. Bro? I'm doing. It's summertime. It's heating up, so you got beach weather. But I'm in the Las Vegas area, so I guess it's lake weather for me. But I'm enjoying it, man. I can't complain.
That's cool.
Man, Vegas heat hit different, man. That Vegas heat ain't no joke.
It's no joke. I'll tell you. I mean, obviously originally from Southern California, and then I moved to Texas, where it's humid. Yeah. But the sun in the Vegas area, you stand in direct sunlight for 5 minutes, your skin's gonna fall off. Like it's different. So.
Yeah, it is a desert. It is a desert, but but that's crazy. You SoCal, Texas, and that's like different types of heats too. And depending on what part of California you're in too, like what part is, if you're closer to like probably, Central California, you know what I mean? If it's like Southern California, it's closer to Southern, it gets hot. I'm talking about
So when I played ball, when you go kind of more inland California, it's gonna hurt. Like it's gonna get you. I remember playing on the new turf with the rubber pellets and stuff, and the tape on my cleats would melt underneath. When you're doing your warm-ups and your stretches, you nixed sitting down on that surface because you're gonna burn. Crazy. So that's California can get hot, but Texas was hot. Don't get me wrong. I coached some football out there, and it was hot there. Yeah. But you come to Nevada, I don't know if I'm going to coach in this weather. It's crazy.
It's definitely crazy, man. You definitely have everything got to be indoor, pretty much. Everything got to be indoor. Yeah. 100%. No doubt about it, man. But hey, man, let's get into it, man. Like the last time we were able to speak to you, man, it's been a minute. It's been a while, man, and I think it was. Last time we spoke was like during the draft, and obviously we had our initial reaction. If y'all know on this channel, like we've talked about it over and over again. But as time has gone on, I feel like in general, we eased up as far as how harsh we were with. Well, I'll speak for myself. I eased up a little bit as far as how harsh I was on the first round pick with Brock Bowers, because I was so shocked and I was so disappointed with the Raiders not getting a quarterback. But Raider 805, man, like, what are your thoughts now? I mean, it's been a few months since the draft. What are your thoughts on the draft so far? I mean, not the draft so far, but how you feel now compared to
I don't know if my thoughts have changed a lot. I do think that initially, as much as I still would have liked to go after an offensive tackle, looks like Thayer Mumford might be looking, better than what we may have previously assumed. A lot of positive things are coming out of just the OTAs, the mini camps and stuff like that. And so hopefully that's all dialed in. I still have my concerns. You pick up Brock Bowers. I understand that the value was there, but the problem still stands. You better make sure you can protect him. Colton Miller's been out of OTAs and mini camp, so he's rehabbing something that we just don't know what truly is going on. You got Jackson Powers Johnson. He showed up in mini camp, which is good, had a couple of practices in, but people are still talking about some of the injuries that he had in college. And so at the end of the day, you can bring in a weapon like Brock Bowers, but do you have a quarterback that can throw to him, and can you protect that quarterback? So
Right.
the concern is still there. I think that at the end of the day, there's still going to be a lot that's going to have to play out during preseason to truly see, can we deliver that ball to not just Brock Bowers, but we now have weapons all over the field, where there's DA, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker is looking better. There's a lot of positive stuff coming out of minicamp and OTAs. And so, do we have the quarterback that can complete 25, 30 passes a game? That's still the biggest question mark.
Yeah. That's one. Yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest question marks, if not the biggest. But I imagine if we did go offensive tackle with that first pick, do you think we would double up with the offensive line, get an offensive guard in Jackson Powers Johnson if he's on the board? Was there another player that was like close? I don't know. It's kind of hard to like remember. Like, was there another player at another position where you like, you know what, they're comparable in talent? You would have went a different position since you've went offensive tackle with the first pick?
So I would have felt better, to be honest with you, if we went offensive tackle in the first round. Even if Jackson Powers Johnson was still there, I wouldn't have been mad if we just said, you know what, we are going to revamp the line of scrimmage. We are going to build in the trenches, and we're going to be bullies. I wouldn't have hated it. I would have liked us to target a corner in the second round, but if we could have at least established an identity, right? We did that with bringing Christian Wilkins in on the defensive side. We established that we are going to beat you on the D line. We are going to come after you. Quarterbacks, you're going to run scared. And if we could have really established that on the offensive side, I wouldn't have been mad at it. It wouldn't have been probably my first choice, going offensive tackle and then possibly a guard. But at the same time, you fit a need. We needed a guard. We need a guard going into the draft. There was question marks at the right tackle. So if we would have went right tackle, if we would have went guard, I wouldn't have been mad at it, because you establish that presence in the trenches, and you're basically sending a message across the entire AFC West and any opponents that we play that we're going to punch you in the mouth on the line of scrimmage. So, and it matches up with what AP's mentality is. So I wouldn't have been mad at it. But I think I still have just the biggest question marks on our third rounder, DJ Glaze. I think that's where my biggest question mark lies right now. Is you pick up DJ Glaze and you're not hearing much out of OTAs, not hearing much about rookie minicamp. I think he might have a chance at getting buried in this depth chart. And when you take a risk on a third rounder and he finds himself buried in a depth chart, you want to still pick a starter in the third round. You still want to go after a guy that can make an impact on your roster, on this team, and potentially on the season. But it looks like he might get himself buried somewhere, whether it's at the tackle position or maybe he moves down to guard. We just don't know. But I still think the biggest question mark, and because we picked up Brock Bowers, I think that's why we kind of panicked a little bit and had to pick up DJ Glaze. Even though I think maybe an undrafted rookie out of Andrew Coker might shock some people. But I'm still the same when it comes to the draft. I still kind of have the same feelings when it comes to draft, because there's so many unanswered questions still. But that's what's going to make the preseason very exciting. I'm excited to watch the preseason and some of these camp battles. It's going to be fun to watch.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I think a lot of people would say on the other side, it would be like, hey, look, you know what? The Raiders didn't get their quarterback. So their plan is to literally have the best amount, have weapons everywhere in order to maximize average QB play, so to speak. I mean, worst case scenario. I mean, obviously, if AOC comes out next year and is balling and he becomes that franchise quarterback, which technically is possible, but are you betting on it? No. That's why you have that. I think that's why they're trying to, because at the end of the day, last year, the Raiders couldn't score. They couldn't score any points. And a lot of that probably had something to do with maybe McDaniels and the team just not really, figuring out that offense, and a lot of different reasons. But I think the Raiders' plan is pretty much, a lot of people could say, is to surround the quarterback with a lot of talent. We've seen it. We've seen it with San Francisco 49ers. They don't have top 5 pick at quarterback. They got a 7th round he's not a rookie no more, but a 7th-round pick in Purdy, and you got talented defense, weapons everywhere. I think that's kind of like their plan, and obviously for all this to work, all this to come together is this defense. And you mentioned it with Christian Wilkins. Now, do you think the defense is ready to take that next step as far as, the way they finished out the season is top 10 defense, top 10 defense. Do you think they can possibly be a top 5 defense this season, or is that me just kind of being a Homer fan right now? I'm a little excited during the offseason.
I think there's a real chance that they're a top 5 defense. You look at how we ended last year with the personnel. We brought a lot back, right? I think no question that they could be a top 5. The problem is, in my opinion, where I have my concern is the linebacker position. You got Divine Diablo, that there's still question marks out there. You got Luke Masterson, which he showed a lot of flashes last year. I know that when it comes to our defense, we like to run a lot of 4-2-5, so really only 2 linebackers are sitting on the field. So, you don't need a ton of linebackers. Yes, we picked up Eichenberg, which is good. Problem is that injuries happen all season. We could be one injury away from having to change some things up or having to adjust. And that's where my concern is just the depth at the linebacker position, the depth at the corner position. You can start the season healthy. Everything looks good. You're firing on all cylinders, which is great, but it just takes one injury where you don't have solid depth to kind of throw some things off, but at the same time, I do think that the pickup of Christian Wilkins just solidifying that D-line and the depth that we have on the D-line. Now, that's where our depth is scary, is on the D-line, because you have so many moving pieces where Tyree Wilson can play inside, he can play outside. The pickups of Adam Butler and John Jenkins, I think, were huge, just as depth pieces and situational. John Jenkins is going to be that big body on 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s that you can plug in there. And you have a bunch of beef up front. So it's just the depth part. I think if you just look at our starting 11, we got to address the second corner. But if you just look at the starting 11, it's as solid as really any team in the league. Yeah. So I'm excited for it. I definitely think we can start out with the top 5 defense without question.
Yeah. They finished top 10 in points allowed. And if you account for AP taking over, they literally were giving up 16 points a game. You know what I mean? That's crazy in today's NFL, and I've mentioned that before. But yeah, man, I'm excited about the defense. Now, let's get into let's take it back to the draft. A lot of people like to talk about the first 7 rounds and all that, but undrafted free agents sometimes can surprise. There could be some surprise players that can come out of there, and you talk about depth. And there might be some players that can possibly maybe, make the team. Who do you think from that undrafted free agent class, in your opinion, I think you mentioned it, but you can go into it now, is that hidden gem?
So I got kind of a few guys, right? I got Andrew Coker. I mentioned him before. I think because of the depth in – when I look at undrafted free agents, I think there's certain pathways to them making this team. One, you got to look at the position that they're trying to play, the position that they're trying to make this team on, right? Is that position solidified with a starter and some depth pieces already that are going to make that 53? If there's question marks, not only on the starter, but also the depth, that's where undrafted free agents can kind of fight their way onto the field or onto this 53-man roster. And I think Andrew Coker, because there's a lot of question marks in our at the depth of our offensive line, whether it be tackle or guard, he might be able to find himself on this 53-man roster, because I think the offensive tackle draft class was so deep that it pushed a lot of good talent down. And so I think Andrew Coker has a really good chance. LaDietrich Griffin, because he's another speedster that could take the top off, and he's not speed when it comes to like a 4.2 guy, right? I think he has football speed. He's got that vision. He's got that second and third gear. When he knows he has you beat, he kind of has that burst to separate. And in addition to that, he can help in kickoff, the return game, which I think special teams is going to be huge this season. You had our Tom McMahon, our special teams coach, he came up to the podium a couple of weeks ago and really broke down the impact he thinks kick returns are going to be on the kickoff. And if you kind of break it down, I did a little bit of research because I knew it was going to be important. I just didn't know how much, and he really broke it down to where there's a really good chance that if you see an 80% uptick in kickoff returns, you might have a kickoff return guy that might touch the ball just as much as your number 2 receiver. And if that happens, you're going to need a guy back there that can actually, get the ball in his hands and get you to that 30, 35, 40 yard to give you that good field position, because every single season, every single game, it's always a field position battle. It always is. There's not very many games where it's going to be 40 to 30 where it's a constant battle back and forth. Field position's huge in probably 90% of the games every year. So I think Laditra Griffin could definitely have a chance, because if Trey Tucker goes down, who's the next speedster on this roster? You got DJ Turner, but DJ Turner never really has panned out as a receiver. He did well in the return game. He helped us in special teams last year. But if Trey Tucker goes down, who's that next guy that's going to be able to take the top off? Because we got nothing but possession receivers across the board with DA, Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, Michael Merritt. Like, these are all possession guys that are going to eat, 30 yards and under. Mm-hmm. If Trey Tucker goes down, who's the next speedster? So I think that's where Laditra Griffin could possibly find his way on the 53.
Like and then a fifth receiver, like a fifth receiver.
Yeah. And then last but not least, it's kind of 2 guys. And I kind of did a video on my channel about this. And one is Amari Gaynor. I think if Amari Gaynor, because when he played at North Carolina, he played that edge rusher. He went from Florida State and played linebacker, transferred to North Carolina because he wanted to play edge. That's where he wanted to play, but unfortunately he got kind of buried a little bit. He came in situational on situational plays. But you saw the athleticism. You just watch him play at North Carolina. You could tell how athletic this guy is. But I think they just recently did this. But if you move Amari Gaynor to the linebacker position where we don't have a lot of solid depth, and he can get back to playing linebacker like he did against when he was at Florida State, I think that's where he has a chance, because we're kind of deep at the DN position, especially if Tyree Wilson, and this is one of my concerns with Malcolm Koonce, is if Tyree Wilson kind of gets forced to play on the edge a little bit, you're not taking Max Crosby off the field. So Malcolm Koonce might find himself on the sideline at times, which I think is not a good situation. But Amari Gaynor can possibly move to linebacker and supply us with some depth. And then you got Ron Stone Jr. out of Washington State. I think that's where the depth when it comes to the edge rushing position, because you got Janoris Robinson that had that DUI last year. I liked what he brought to the table last year when he got his opportunities. I think he's got a good motor. He's pretty raw. He's not very athletic, but he's such a big body. But he had that DUI last year. I just don't know how that's going to play out. We might find him. I think he'll make the team. I just don't know what's going to happen. You got the DUI. I don't know legally what might happen, and that's where I think Ron Stone Jr. might be able to find his way on the 53. So those are kind of 4 names that I like when it comes to the undrafted free agents.
And going back to what you hit on as far as special teams, do you like, just overall, like, is it, and I'm probably, I haven't really like thought about it too much, but obviously the rule changes got everybody around the league excited, especially special teams coordinators. Like, there's gonna be more return kicks for touchdowns, just based off the rule change. Do you think that's gonna happen? Do you think there's a really good chance it's uptick? Because with scoring down, I feel like the league always tries to figure out ways to put points on the board. And the last couple of years, the defense, I feel like, has caught up to the offense overall in the NFL, because scoring has been down in the NFL. Like teams are not scoring as much as they did when they were letting Patrick Mahomes throw deep every other play. Josh Allen throwing deep every other play. So, obviously defense's answer to that is like, we're going to have 2 safeties back there. You're going to have to, you're gonna have to take your time to score a touchdown. You're gonna have one of those long drives, and I think scoring has gone down because I think overall, and you can speak to this, quarterback play has been down just overall, in my opinion. I don't think it's as good as it's been. I don't think it's as good as it's been in the past. But speak to that.
What I'm really excited to watch and see kind of how it evolves is how offensive or special teams coordinators are going to strategize when it comes to the two guys, right? The guys on kickoff and kick return, they're lining up 5 yards away from each other or 5 to 7 yards away from each other. And there's going to be twists. There's going to be movement all along. As soon as that returner catches the ball, there's going to be a ton of movement. And it's going to be interesting to see how special teams coordinators design returns and how to kickoff teams combat that. And so I don't know how that's going to affect how much the return game, because the thing is that when you got athletes like you have in the NFL spread evenly across the field, right? They're already in their lanes. There's a lot of times when special teams can get guys out of their lanes when they got to travel 30, 40 yards down in order to get to the ball carrier. Right now, they're already 30 yards down, 25, 30 yards downfield, and they're set in their lanes. And so can you have a guy that's shifty enough to make maybe that first or second man miss, and now he can take it to the house? You know, that's going to be the interesting part is, are these kick returners athletic enough to literally I'll just throw Tyree Hill's name out there, but you know, he's that guy that's shifty enough to, or who was Hall from Kansas City back in the day, human joystick.
Dante Hall?
D'Angelo Hall.
No, Dante.
Dante Hall. Yeah, it was
Dante
Dante
Hall.
Hall. Yeah, Dante Hall. Yeah.
Is there a guy like that literally can hit, basically get upfield 5, 7, 10 yards quick, and bang, he makes 2, 3 guys miss within a matter of a second, and you're gone because the guys that were stuck on the sidelines in those lanes now can't recover. And so it's going to be really interesting to see just how special teams coordinators draw up certain types of returns. You know, is it you bring guys from one side to the other to get a bunch of blockers in front, or do you tell that returner, if you catch it upwards of that 15-yard line or what have you, you hit that return as quickly as possible, get it filled as quickly as you can, so you only have to make 1 or 2 guys miss, and then you got grass. You know what I'm saying? And then you're going to take it to the house. And so the strategy behind it's going to be very interesting. And if you got a guy that could touch the ball and have an impact 2, 3, maybe 4 times a game, you better find that guy that can really get you upfield quickly. So
Dylan Lobby, man.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, I think with the kick return, like first of all, Dante Hall, that dude was special. If we get anybody, I mean, he still has the coldest juke I've ever seen in my life was when he caught that pass against Denver. Yeah. And he hit Odu with and hit him with the spin. I think it was Champ Kelly hit him with the spin move, and that's the coldest juke I've ever seen in my life. Like, I love Barry, like that juke was the coldest juke I've ever seen in my life. But I think that particular skill set, even though the rules have changed, I still think that's a punt returner skill set. Like, when you talk about the best kick returner of all time, in my opinion, the best kick returner of all time is Cordero Patterson. He has the most kick return touchdowns of all time. Devin Hester, people always think about Devin Hester. Devin Hester did his damage on punt returns. Cordero Patterson is probably by my opinion, by a wide margin. It's him and Josh Cribbs are the best kick returners. And that's a different kind of skill set. And both of those guys are like bigger guys, not a lot of shiftiness in them, but they're one cut guys, get upfield, and then they could break a tackle or two. I still think that's probably the way you want to go. Even with this new blocking scheme, I still feel that you still want, because you really only have to really make one guy miss. If you can make one guy miss, I think you can take it to the house. So I think that I'm still kind of leaning toward that particular model. But I think teams are going to get real experimental. They're going to be all kind of like I think a lot of teams are going to probably put 2 guys back there. They're going to be a fake handoffs, and they're going to be some misdirection stuff. Like, you can get real creative now, especially with the way stuff is set up. I
agree with you.
You spoke about. Oh yeah, go ahead. Now you spoke about the UDFAs. There's one guy I want to ask you about, but go ahead. You had something to say about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you in the fact that kickoff and punt are very two different things because it's two different personnels, right? When on kickoff, you got a lot of linebackers, DBs, a lot of fast, skilled guys. On punt, you still got some heavier guys a little bit on the interior, and they are stepping back. They're kick stepping. They're making sure the punt gets off, and so there's layers that you got to beat when it comes to the punt return. So you got to be shifty because you got to make the first guy miss, then you got to make the second guy, and then you still got to make the guy, possibly the punter or what have you. So you got to be a little more shiftier, right? So I agree with you. There's definitely two different types of returners when it comes to kickoff versus punt. So I 100% agree.
One guy I wanted to ask you about. One guy I wanted to ask you about that you didn't bring up that I think because we talked about the lack of speed and explosiveness on this team is the receiver out of Tennessee. I want to say his last year, Ramel Keaton. So his last year he averaged like almost 20 yards per reception. He's a guy that can basically get upfield. And we had a little bit of success last time with the receiver out of Tennessee that had some long speed. The success was short lived, but Denarius Moore was a guy that we had some success out of. And he was another guy, I want to say his last year in college, he averaged like more than 15 yards per reception. He was known as kind of a deep threat.
So when I started to do more research on Ramel Keaton, right, I like him. All right, I'll put that out there first. I really like what he brings. But, when I said it originally, it's trying to figure out, okay, what's their path to the 53-man roster? And as of right now, we got Devonta Adams set, Jacoby Myers set, Michael Gallup, I believe he's set. You just never know with injuries what could possibly happen. I believe he's set. I think you bring him in for that reason. And then you look at what does Luke Getsy like to do on offense? He likes to run 2 tight end sets, which means we're most likely going to carry, I would say, 4 tight ends, most likely.
I completely agree.
So that means that they might not keep as many receivers or running backs, depending on where we sit. And so as I looked at that, I said, okay, that's going to be tough. That's going to be very tough for Ramel Keaton to make it onto this roster just because we might not keep as many receivers and there's some solidified starters already on the roster. But then when I went back and looked at this film, I think the hard part is that he did have some drop issues. So they did say they said that he struggled a little bit. Now he could surprise us in preseason, and that's where he can find himself a spot. But also he wasn't as efficient in the 50-50 balls. That was another knock on him, and I saw it a lot. I only saw about 3 full games of him.
50-50.
But those 50-50 balls were where he kind of struggled. He did win some good ones, but he also lost quite a few. And so when you look at that, I think that if he can improve on that, if he can improve on the drops, if he can improve on winning those 50-50 balls, and as a receiver, that's where you can make your difference, right? It's all about, I say the story of Terrell Davis back in the day, right? He was buried in the depth chart as a running back, and the way that he really fought his way to a starter and opened the coach's eyes is on special teams. He came down and blasted somebody on kickoff. If Ramel Keaton all of a sudden starts winning some 50-50 balls and shocking some of the coaches and really making his presence felt, then I do think that he can start fighting his way. Because I think Wilkerson is still on the roster, and so he's a tall, lengthy receiver. We've had him on the roster for a couple of years, so I don't if he hasn't made it yet, or if he hasn't really found his way, then maybe you want to invest in a younger guy to be able to see what they have. Don't let him sit on the practice squad where he could possibly get snagged up by somebody else. But that's why if I were to pick those 4 undrafted free agents that I liked, he's definitely the 5th. It's either him or Bradley, the quarterback. It's either him or Bradley. Yeah, that I think are right behind those 4 that I mentioned.
So when we talk about Tulu Griffin or Ladija Griffin, do you see him outside of special teams? I know most likely where he would find his niche is on special teams, but do you see him possibly carving out a role on this offense, maybe getting some meaningful snaps as a wide receiver?
I do, because one, he can stretch the field. And when you can stretch the field and get on top of defenses, there's a lot of times where they're going to play soft on you, right? They might, if they zone you up, they might sit a linebacker inside. They might take that safety and push them back. Even if they play man, they might give you a little bit of room depending on all the other threats around them. But not only can you take the top off, the one thing that impressed me the most about him, and Luke Getsy likes to run screens. He likes to run receiver screens. When Griffin caught the ball, his ability to catch the ball and get upfield quickly on screens is very impressive. There's a lot of times where receivers will catch the ball. Once they catch, then they look, and then they take off. He's got extremely good vision. You see it when he tries on the drag routes, when he tries to cross the field. He has a sense of where the defense is and where the defense is positioned. And so when he catches that ball, he already knows where he wants to go. And that allows him to, as soon as that ball touches his hands, his body's already going upfield and he gets upfield quick. And so because Luke Getsy likes to run receiver screens, he does like to run running back screens. I also think that's where you give him, one or two screens a game and let him get upfield. He might find his way to just kind of shock the coaches a little bit, right? Just some of those eye-opener plays where you can sit there and go, okay, we might have something here. And so I saw it when he did in college. I think because of the way Luke Getsy runs his offense, he might find himself some opportunities to catch some screens, some drags across the field, and take them and open up some eyes. So,
man, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be interesting. Training camp's gonna come around. Obviously, we heard AP the other day or in his press conference, pretty much excited about special teams and what that's gonna look like, and especially in preseason, because that's gonna pretty much be our first look. But we'll see what shakes out and see what happens around that time, and see if what undrafted free agent can possibly make the team. And every year there's always going to be that one guy that that possibly can make it. And if you're talking about a team that's lacking depth, most likely there's probably going to be a couple of undrafted free agents that can possibly sneak into the roster. You mentioned corner, but then you didn't mention any corner as far as possibly making a team. I know you mentioned tackle, which is okay. Mm-hmm. I like that. But you didn't mention corner, and that's a position where recently we seen that Stevie Nelson announced his retirement, but there were reports that pretty much said that Raiders are one of the teams that were interested in his services. So which tells me is that they're interested in probably adding a veteran to that room. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody out there right now that you think that the Raiders can go after at that corner spot?
I'm still a Stephon Gilmore fan. I've said it from kind of day one. I like Stephon Gilmore mainly because one,
cut his mic.
He's going to play the number 2, right? He's not going to come in as the number 1. He's a solid veteran. You're going to bring him in, and he is going to be looked up to in this cornerback room. And so I think he's got the experience. He's got the resume for our corners to come in, especially these young guys, to come in and say, okay, this is a guy I need to listen to. I'm going to respect him because he's been in multiple systems. He's been in not just a multiple system, but he was with the Patriots. If you can survive the Patriots, you can survive a lot. There's a lot of demanding. There's a demand when it comes to being a Patriot. And then you go to the Dallas Cowboys. I lived in Texas, on the north end of Texas. I know how diehard that fan base is, just like the Raiders. If you can survive that, you got yourself some thick skin.
Right.
But I want to bring in a guy that has a very high floor. And that's Stephon Gilmore. I think his floor is extremely high, where you're not going to run that risk of, did we bring in a high caliber free agent? I say high caliber because it's a need for us, and it just fails, right? That experiment or that risk fails. I think what you're going to get in Stephon Gilmore. I think it's pretty solid. I did a video on Xavier Howard that I think he's off the table. I think there's a reason why Miami got rid of him. I think that there's no way that Mark Davis would ever bring that guy in because of his history. But you look at all the other corners, and I didn't bring up any undrafted free agents that we could potentially bring on, because I think either we sign a corner out of free agency, we possibly trade for a corner, possibly, and then we drafted 2 corners. So you're going to want these guys to really battle, and you want to see what you have out of our 4th rounder, that DC Richardson and
Devonshire.
DC Devonshire, right? Or DJ Devonshire.
Yeah.
You want to see what those guys have, right? So those guys are going to last through preseason. You're going to keep those guys, especially DC Richardson. But I just think that when it comes to undrafted free agents at the corner spot, we had I'm blanking on his name, but the one undrafted free agent, tall corner, 6'3".
Sam Webb.
Problem with him is, say it again.
The one guys this year or previous?
This year, the undrafted free agent corner that we picked up, tall, lengthy
Jaquan
corner.
Shepard?
Yes, I believe so.
Or the one out of Maryland, or the one out of, I think, Northern Iowa? We got Governor and Jaquan Shepard, I think, are the 2.
Jaquan Shepard.
Yeah, that's when they played in Maryland.
Yeah, what's difficult is we drafted 2. We possibly are going to bring in another corner, and we have some veterans already sitting there. Brandon Faison. You had Nate Hobbs on Mash Crosby's podcast that basically is saying, like, this guy is the dude. Like, if he's healthy, he can come in and he doesn't need to start. But if you got that guy sitting on the sideline, if you got that guy sitting and possibly come in if there's an injury or someone needs a breather, and he's not expensive, you might roll with it. Again, for that veteran presence, because we have a very young cornerback room as it stands right now. So I'm not sure if undrafted free agents will make this 53-man, just because of the guys we have that are in the locker room, in that room right now, and given the fact that we might bring somebody in. And if we do, we're most likely going to bring in someone that's going to start day 1. So, but I am a Stephon Gilmore fan. I think that his floor is very high, and you want someone that is reliable, consistent, and someone that you can depend on to be the person that you think he possibly is.
Compared to what's out there. And just going back to the undrafted free agent corners. So we picked up Rashawn Williams, Jaquan Shepard, and DeMarcus Governor at corner. So those are 3 cornerbacks that we picked up as undrafted free agents. But I guess, one of the concerns is obviously corner, the depth at corner, that outside corner spot. Who's going to start? Are we going to go for a veteran? Is it going to be in-house? But what would you say are your concerns with the roster going into the season? Like, or it doesn't even have to be the roster. It can be coaching staff. It could be, the schedule coming out the gate. What are your biggest concerns about the season?
So I'll start with, I love what the coaches are saying about AP. You got Rob Ryan coming out and saying that, he's doing nothing but praising AP in ways that I don't think it's really fake, right? You're not going to talk bad about your head coach, but I think he's praising him in ways that you think that I think Rob Ryan really does think he's doing a good job. But I want to say my biggest concern is, and I think it has to be, it's just the quarterback play. That's the biggest concern. We have a defense that ended top 10, right? I think they ended the 8th ranked defense last year. And that's when we had an offense that couldn't score, that couldn't move the ball. Yes, we put up some, we put 63 on the Chargers, but I think that was more about the Chargers not wanting to play for their head coach than it was us really beating them. But, we had games like Minnesota, and we need an offense that can average. I'd love to see them average, 17 to 19 points a game. If we can do that, I think we easily win 9 games. But if we can have an offense that averages 21, and we have the weapons, we may not have the O-line right now, the time will tell, but we have the weapons, we have the skill players to put up some points. But do we have the quarterback that's going to be able to get us to that 21-point threshold to possibly relieve the defense a little bit? One of the things that is always frustrating, and I don't care who you are as a player, it's a team sport. You want both sides to carry their weight, and you see it every year. You see it all the time. If a defense is balling and they're doing what they're supposed to do, and the offense is 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, you'll start to see frustration on that defense. And we got to be able to see, and I'm not saying that the offense has to always put up a ton of points, but if they can sustain some drives, if they can give the defense a rest, that goes a long way for a defense. You can still win a game, 14-10, but if the offense drives, they're able to keep the defense off the field and they can kind of win that time of possession battle. That was one of the worst things about Josh McDaniels, is we could never win the time of possession battle. We never could. And that can be so frustrating for a defense. I played the majority of my life on the defensive side, and I'll tell you how frustrating it was when you come off a huge third down stop, you're loving it, you go sit down to get a little drink of water, next thing you know, you got to put your helmet back on. And so as time goes on, I just hope that this offense can pull their weight when we possibly had opportunities to do so, whether it be, trade up for a quarterback in the draft or what have you, or bring in, trade for or bring in a high caliber quarterback to help this offense. But if you're going to rock with Aiden O'Connell, if you're going to rock with Gardner Minshew, I hope that they can put up enough points or sustain enough drives throughout the game to where the defense can feel like the offense is productive in doing something. So I'm okay with winning games 14-10. I'm okay with winning games, 10-7. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But we got to be able to sustain drives. We got to be able to move the ball and give that defense some rest. So that's my biggest concern is quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, definitely. But for me, it's like when you start looking at how the Raiders are kind of approaching the team and addressing their needs, they're not really going into the season kind of depending on the quarterback. They're not saying like, hey, you know what, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, you got to carry this team. You're going to have to make the big time play. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell have to do their part by protecting the football and making some big time throws in the red zone area and they're on third down. I understand that. But I think, to me, the more I think about it, that run game is going to be a huge part of the Raiders offense and a big key to their offense. Because when you talk about they went ahead and drafted a tight end, and now you got two of them. And they get two of them on the field, and for them to be fully effective at their positions and to run that 12 personnel, you got to have the threat of that run game to be there. So Zamir White, I think, first time starting. I know we've seen him in a small sample size, and he was productive, but Zamir White, in a zone blocking scheme where, he wasn't really drafted into. He was drafted to be in a power blocking scheme. So I'm looking at Zamir, I'm like, all right, can he be that guy for the Raiders? I know it's a running back by committee, but if you look at the running backs on the roster, I mean, like, it's you know what I mean? That's kind of that's where I'm looking at it. I'm not really looking at Aiden O'Connell I'm not depending on it. If Aiden O'Connell surprises us, that's what it's going to be. But I'm not going into it saying that Aiden O'Connell is going to be taking over games. Minshew's going to be taking over games. I'm going into next season saying defense is going to be legit. I'm looking at Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is going to be Devontae Adams. I like the talent that we have on offense. But my questions are more, can Zamir White be that guy at that running back position? I know they're talking about running back by committee, but Zamir is literally the only guy that we can really say, like, all right, this guy could possibly be a guy. Everybody else are kind of role players.
So we can hit this in multiple angles, okay? So when you talk about, running back by committee, the hard part is the way that we have now formed our offense, it is putting a ton of pressure on the O-line, quarterback, and running backs. Because if you want to run 12 personnel, you're going to have a lot of stacked boxes. You're going to have a lot of safeties coming down. And the thing is that we have a lot of skilled guys at the receiver position. We got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. Now we picked up Brock Bowers, right? And so the hope is that Trey Tucker can be that guy. The hope is that Trey Tucker is going to be that guy that could just take the top off, right? It's going to force those safeties to have to stay back. It's going to force those corners if Trey Tucker's, on that side and they zone up around him. It's going to force those corners to play, 12 yards off. So you're hoping Trey Tucker can be that guy. But if they don't respect Trey Tucker for some reason, right? If we don't complete 2, maybe 3, deep balls a game so that they respect the deep ball, it is going to put a lot of pressure on positions that we didn't invest a lot of money into, that we're not expecting a lot from. For example, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the O-line. Well, yes, we picked up Jackson Powers-Johnson, loved to pick, but we're relying on Thayer Mumford, right, to be that right guard, to be that guy, right? We're putting so much pressure on the O-line, and now we're putting a ton of pressure on Zamir White. We're putting a ton of pressure on Alexander Mattson and on whoever's going to play quarterback. You're putting a ton of pressure on these guys in the box, because if we run 12 personnel, defense is going to be able to cheat up. So you better hope you can hit a couple of deep balls. And, from what we saw last year, and again, I've said this, on videos that I posted, is that my verdict is still out on Aiden O'Connell. I'm looking at Aiden O'Connell's last year, with everything he had to go through. This is his rookie year. This is what I'm looking at Aiden O'Connell. This is your rookie year, because you finally have a legit offensive coordinator. You finally have an offseason to kind of gel with some of your receivers and understand the system. And so if Aiden O'Connell can shock us, and all of a sudden he's got a live arm and he can put that ball downfield and he can hit that receiver 40, 50 yards downfield, cool. Then it's going to soften up that defense. But unfortunately, the way that we drafted and the way that we are now putting a lot of pressure on some positions that we didn't put a ton of money into, and now we're going to expect them to face these stacked boxes. So it's a big concern for me, and it's going to be interesting to see how Luke Getsy kind of navigates through all that.
Interesting, man. And it sounds like offensive line is another concern for you, and then obviously, that deep threat. How can we hit big plays down the field? Because last season, I feel like defenses were a little bit cheating on Aiden O'Connell, because they were pretty much daring him to throw deep. They're pretty much telling him, like, hey, we don't respect that deep. And that happens in the NFL. And look, I'm looking at it like from this perspective. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not that down on the O-line like that. I like Dylan Parham. Andre James, I feel like the system kind of fits him. I wasn't high on him to begin the offseason. I felt like, it's time to get him replaced. But obviously we seen that guard market and interior O-line market just skyrocket. So got paid. So Andre James, you're coming back. But we can all agree that Andre James, probably his skill set better suits a zone blocking system, which he's coming back into now. So that's okay. That's a plus. Then you got Jackson Powers-Johnson. I like that. He is playing his first time playing at left guard. Mm-hmm. So there's probably going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Colt Miller needs to get healthy. He's still recovering from that shoulder injury. But if all things being equal and they're healthy, I don't think Thayer Mumford probably would be the biggest question mark, to be honest with you, on that offensive line. But out of 4 out of the 5, it's not too bad.
But I would say, when we think about offensive line, it's like the old saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Mm-hmm. So if you have, it's like I think about, you ever seen the movie The Water Boy?
Yeah.
And at the very last, one of the last scenes where they're the guy is looking for who he's gonna kick the onside kick to, and everybody's ready. And there's that one guy over there. Yep. He's that's who I'm going after. And I just feel like Thayer Mumford is yo, man, that's my mark. That's going to be every team's mark. We know Colton Miller, right? He might not be a household name, but he's a top 10-ish, 12-ish left tackle in the league. Everybody expects Jackson Powers-Johnson to be a blue chip prospect, even though he's playing guard for the first time. I think he'll do well at guard. Andre James, very solid at center. Even though he's going back to a scheme, unlike the last regime where he's going to be making more of the protection calls. I know that was taken away from him under McDaniels, but he did it under Gruden, right? So I think that's something he's used to. Getting back to it, I think he said he enjoys that. So I think that might elevate his play. Dylan Parham, we all saw how he performed on the right side. He was one of the Pro Football Writer of America's on our rookie team as a guard, right? Playing on that side. I think the weakest link there is Thayer Mumford, not only from the aspect of his play, but aspect of his scheme fit. He's a guy who is slow-footed, and I don't care how many times they want to say this guy is he's an athlete. We've seen and that's one of those situations like, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? Like, nah, I know what I saw, and I know I seen this guy struggle with speed since he was at Ohio State. He's not a quick-footed guy. He's not agile, and no, I don't know how he's going to perform in this scheme. You know, we're hoping for the best, you know, but no, we really don't know. There's a reason why we were targeting Paris Johnson, and that's because their right side has been a problem, and I think it remains a problem. And not only that, but you know, like as you guys have alluded to, there's a serious lack of proven depth at tackle. You know, we kind of got there Munford, and then like Andres Pete is like the next guy up there. It's like,
Dalton
you know,
Wagner. He's still on the roster? I mean, he might be possibly be
I
a
think
surprise. I don't know. It's a new regime, so who knows?
Yeah, he has potential. And I think he was redshirted by the last regime. I think though they did what the Patriots do, and the Patriots have gotten in trouble for this in the past, where they stash a guy on IR and they get fined because that guy that's supposed to be on injured reserve is practicing with the team. So I think Dalton Wagner was a stash. I definitely think that was a stash. Right. But like I said, like he's an unproven guy. I like Dalton Wagner, but I don't know how much of a fit he is in this scheme as well. So I think that's a big question mark. So
I don't. The hard part about Dalton Wagner is if you go back and you look at his film in college, I don't know if he's a great fit for the zone run scheme. I mean, he's very raw. He's not very athletic. He's a guy that can maul you. He's a big body, you know, in a power run scheme. Now, if you go back and look at Luke Getsy's system, he likes to run both. He will run his own scheme and he'll run a power scheme. He runs both. He mixes it up very well. But the problem with the O-line is, yes, Thayer Munford, the verdict is still out on him. I hope that we can get him going and he can surprise us a little bit, right? Because I wanted an offensive tackle in the draft first round. But what happens if we have an injury? You know, Colton Miller went down last year. Yeah. You know, and at this point, the depth behind it, I know you can't always have depth at every position, but the problem is that when you don't have a high-paid quarterback, when you didn't invest a ton of money into a high-caliber running back, then where do you invest the money? And we didn't really invest anything in the offensive line except for a draft pick. And yes, Jackson Powers-Johnson, I think, is a good draft pick. I like him. I think he's going to be solid. But we didn't address really the depth. You know, we have Jordan Meredith behind one guard position. I think he's a solid backup, which is good. We brought in Cody Whitehair. I think he's going to get cut, in my opinion. I don't think he'll make the 53 only because I just don't think he's very good. I went back and watched all the film. He's not very good. He was benched last season, you know, the last 3 games of the season. And it's on a very bad Chicago Bears offensive line. And so if one person gets hurt, it'd be a different story if we had a high-paid quarterback and we invested money in a position, or we have a high-paid running back, we invested money. Okay, that's where our money went. But we have the 6th most salary cap sitting right now, and we have depth issues at the offensive line. When I'm a firm believer, you build in the offensive line because you kill 2 birds with one stone. You protect the quarterback, which is your most, you know, your precious commodity is the quarterback. But then you can run that running back by committee because you can put a 6th-round running back in that backfield and they can average 4 yards a carry if you have a solid offensive line. And so that's where my concern is, that we got the 6th most salary cap, but then we have potentially, again, we're not in that coaching staff. We're not in the coaching staff. We're not in the offensive line room. So we truly don't know exactly what's going on. But on the surface, what we can see as fans that pay attention, I don't know how we have the 6th most salary cap, but we also have issues with depth on the offensive line. It just that's my concern. Outside the quarterback, another massive concern.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the Raiders they're betting on Thayer Munford. And it started early on with Tom Telesco with his comments early in the offseason when he was talking about Thayer Munford and how he liked him a little bit out there and he needed some time to evaluate the roster. But But then as time went on, and obviously, proof's in the pudding, actions speak louder than words. When it was time to draft a tackle, the Raiders went in a different direction. And the second round came around, the Raiders went different. And even at DJ Glaze, people talk about him being a tackle, but a lot of people project him to be a guard in the NFL.
Right. That's what I think he's going to be. So
right. So the Raiders are pretty. They're kind of betting on Thayer Munford being that guy. And if they're wrong, I guess they're going to have to address that position next offseason. But I think if you hear James Craig talk, you hear AP talk about him, you talk about how he's going against Max Crosby every day. He's only going to get better. And you hear James Craig talk about, kind of emphasize his athleticism, which, you know what I mean? That's not something that we knew that he had like that, but we knew that he kind of fit that power blocking system, but zone blocking system, I'm not sure. Maybe did he lose some weight? You know what I mean? Did he lean up? We'll find out soon enough, man. And it's gonna be from here on out, man. I think it's gonna be a couple months until training camp, right? I think it's a couple months until training camp, right?
July 11th, 10th or 11th. I think they start up.
Yeah.
Long time to wait. Long time to wait, but we got a lot of salary cap to kind of address. So hopefully there is some excitement in between that time.
You got all the money. And you got nothing. It's like being the richest man after the zombie apocalypse. Like, what's the use of all this money? Like,
but you know what? I think we can all agree on this. I think they should use some of that money to re-sign some of the guys that's on the roster.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Whoever that is, I wouldn't be mad if they re-signed Malcolm Koonce. We know how pass rushers is a high value position. Even a Nate Hobbs too as well. But I'm not sure how much they value Nate Hobbs. He plays that nickel corner spot, but if they feel like he's going to be that blue chip player for them on his defense, kind of like that Joker position, because he's not like the best cover corner. You know what I mean? He gets exposed, especially when he gets on the outside. I felt like there are times where I felt like teams were attacking him at some points. I mean, maybe he was playing hurt, maybe it was that, but I'm not sure would it make sense to extend a Nate Hobbs?
In my opinion, because there's probably 4 names that you want to look at to potentially extend, right? And you're not going to extend all 4. But to me, I think with Nate Hobbs, he could arguably be the second best defender on this team, right? You got Max Crosby, Malcolm Koonce could be thrown in there, but then you got Nate Hobbs, and Malcolm Koonce and Nate Hobbs, there could be a valid argument for both. But this is the reason why I would like to see us extend Nate Hobbs is, one, getting a good nickel corner is very hard to come by. There's not very many good, solid nickel corners in the league. I mean, and you're not going to pay. You don't pay nickel corners like a number 1 corner, right? So he's not going to demand that massive price tag. And so, I would like to see us, if we were to sign, 3 out of the 4, extend maybe 3 out of the 4 players that we possibly want to look at. I'd like to see Nate Hobbs be in that mix, because not only does he, not only because it's hard to find nickel corners, it's hard to draft them, it's hard to develop them. He fits this system. He fits what the Raiders want to do. Between him and Max Crosby, they kind of bring just a different element to the football field. And because we are relying on our defense, because what we've seen so far, obviously, season by season it can change, but our team is our identity is our defense. And if you can bring that energy that Max Crosby does, that Nate Hobbs does, then I think that's definitely one guy you want to re-sign. The guy that I am concerned about, and not because he's not worth it, is Malcolm Koonce, to be dead honest with you. I don't know if the Raiders actually re-sign him. I don't know if he accepts it, to be honest with you. I mentioned it on one of my videos. I think there's a good chance he bets on himself, because when you re-sign guys right now, you kind of try to get them on a little bit of a discount, and I think he wants his payday. It's a business at the end of the day for everybody, and so he might bet on himself. He might ball out this season and want to test the market. But I think where my concern is what do the Raiders do with Tyree Wilson? Tyree Wilson was drafted to be on that edge? And are they going to continue to try to push him over there? And that's the part that I do have a concern, is that are they going to continue to try to put Tyree Wilson on that edge, play him inside a little bit because he had success last year, but put him on the edge, and now what does that do with Malcolm Koonce? Does Malcolm Koonce find himself on the sideline? So that's where my concern is with Malcolm Koonce. I think they do need to re-sign him. I think that he's going to be a better edge than what Tyree Wilson is going to be. But I think Tyree Wilson does bet on himself. And even if we do offer an extension, he might not even accept it.
Yeah, and just to give some names on who are going to be free agents next offseason. I mean, there's going to be plenty of free agents next offseason, but you got Marcus Epps, you got Trayvon Moehrig, drafted by the Raiders in the second round. He's going to be a free agent. Do we bring him back? Nate Hobbs. You mentioned that it's a guy that you would possibly want to re-sign because it's hard to find a nickel corner. And then you got plenty of other guys too as well. Hold on one second.
I think we have like 30 plus free agents next year. I think it's a really long list.
Yeah, it's a long list, but I'm trying to focus on like the homegrown talent, the guys that you typically get that extension because they're young and you want to invest in like the younger in their prime players. And Koonce is one of those guys, so hopefully we can bring him back. But a lot of the free agents next offseason are a lot of veterans from what I'm looking at.
I mean, I think there are five guys. I think there are five guys. I want to say it's Hobbs. I think Parham is going to be a free agent next year. Spillane, Marcus Epps, and Malcolm Koonce. I think those are.
Parham going to be a free agent next year?
I believe he's a free agent.
He dropped him 2 years ago. I think he might have one more.
No, 2026 is when he's going to be a free agent. So he has
2026. Okay. So he has one more year. Okay, cool. So then it's just those four then.
Right.
And much like 805 was saying, I think Nate Hobbs he's a unicorn at nickel. You don't find guys that have that kind of size, that kind of athleticism, that kind of tackling ability. He may be the best tackler, or probably is the best tackler on the team. Him and Spillane. So for a guy to have that ability and be, because we generally when nickels are they're smaller guys. So to have a guy like Nate Hobbs that can play that position, and then you can do some other stuff with him. He's a guy that you can switch up looks because maybe you have him at safety, and you're disguising your coverage because he's not really playing in the nickel right now. He's really a safety, or maybe he's you can do a lot of stuff like kind of like how like Patrick Graham did with Jabril Peppers. Like he can be that kind of guy, and I don't think you can't do that with a Meek Robertson, right? You can't do it with a guy that size. Sure. I think much like 805 was saying, I think the most likely guy to go and is going to be Malcolm Koonce, just because I think the price tag is going to be probably the highest out of any of those positions. And then he is the guy that I think that they have the most ready-made replacement in Tyree Wilson. I think they do want to get some return on that investment, even though it's not their draft pick. It is a first-round pick. And I do think they want return on that investment. And I think that if push comes to shove, it comes between paying Malcolm Koonce or paying some other guys, they will give Tyree Wilson the full-time job at defensive end and let Malcolm Koonce walk. I think Trayvon Moehrig is coming up as well. Maybe that's one thing. So I mean I think we heard Rob Ryan talk about the importance of Marcus Epps. That's a guy that's been around the league a long time. He's coached on some of the best defenses in the league. He come from a defensive family. His dad is a legend. So I think we have to take heed to what he says. And if he's talking about Marcus Epps being that important to the team, I think we have to we have to strongly consider bringing that guy back. And I don't think that's going to be a high price tag. We'll see what Moehrig does this year. If Moehrig has a crazy year, his price tag might get a little bit more expensive. Spillane should be moderately more expensive, but that's the linebacker position that's kind of going the way running back. So we'll kind of see. But I think Koonce is the one that is most likely out of all those guys. He's going to be by far the most expensive, and that's going to make him, I think, the most likely to leave.
We'll see. I mean, they've been drafting these playmaking safeties in the later rounds, so we'll see.
Yeah.
They might be the replacements for Marcus Epps. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Isaiah Polamau is one guy to really watch because there's a lot of high praise with Isaiah Polamau, and so we'll see how he does.
Yeah, no facts, because a lot of coaches have kind of pointed him out and said, or at least people are looking for him to have like a big role on this defense this upcoming season. So we'll see how that.
I was hoping for that last year. I was hoping if Isaiah Polamau steps up, that kind of mitigates the need for Divine Diablo, because Isaiah Polamau can, like, in the 4-2-5, he can be that basically like that a nickel linebacker in that kind of defense.
Oh, a dime linebacker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or a dime linebacker as well. You know, so if you're in dime, so I think that, especially with the injury history of Divine Diablo, and he's a guy, I think he's probably coming up too, right? He's probably coming up.
He's gonna be a free agent. But I'm sure, like, if they wanted to bring him back, I think, depending on how big, if he has a huge year, then obviously his price tag probably goes up a little bit. But as of right now, I think if the Raiders want him back, they can get him back. But man, Koonce is kind of. I hope we can get him, man. I hope because if you think about it, man, the Raiders can make an argument like, hey, you've only had half a year, maybe less, production, and it was because of Max Crosby. But then I get it. I mean, pass rushers, man. As soon as they get production, everybody's looking at them. Everybody's like, oh, like that's like it's crazy. It is
the pass rushing position. The thing is that the year that Malcolm Koonce had, I mean, he could arguably in his mind think he can be a top pass rusher, number one pass rusher on another team. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is that when you look at all the positions that you need to focus on as a team is quarterback, left tackle, number one corner, pass rusher. I mean, those are your top four positions, on a football team. And there's going to be a team that's going to need a pass rusher, and that there's going to be a team that's going to overpay. Mm-hmm. And so if he tests that market, and I don't know the other free agent edge rushers that'll be available next year, I don't know who those are, but if you look at that, there's going to be a team that's going to pay, and pass rushers are a dime a dozen. If you can prove yourself as a valuable, efficient pass rusher, you might have a payday coming your way. So I can definitely see him betting on himself and maybe not accepting an extension.
So I'm looking at the defensive line. I mean,
Randy Gregory got pretty big money, and that was after he, was suspended for several seasons, and like he got pretty big money. So I think if Koonce is able to replicate, and it seems from what we're hearing, and I don't know if this is what Koonce is doing, but it seems like Koonce is kind of taking a leadership role, almost as if he's like in preparation to I'm going to be a leader of a defensive end or defensive line unit somewhere else potentially next year. So he's pulling guys to the side, coaching them up, being way more vocal. Like, there's stuff he wasn't doing last year, he's doing this year. So it's like, maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Like, he got dollar signs dancing in his head right now.
And that's one thing to really focus on as the season goes on. I'm definitely going to be focusing on it in the first, handful of games, is if they want to prove that Tyree Wilson can be that edge rusher that they drafted him for, and they put him on that edge, again, you're not taking Max Crosby off the field. So that means Malcolm Koonce is now off the field. Are you going to piss him off by taking him off the field and not giving him the opportunity to show what he can do on an every down? Because last year he showed that he could be an every down edge rusher. He can play all three downs without question. Mm-hmm. So if you do start to remove him off that field, are you going to end up just pissing him off and not giving him that opportunity? And he might find himself saying, "Okay, no, I'm out of here. I'm going to test free agency." So,
yeah, I'm looking at the 2025 free agent class when it comes to DNs. I'm sure there's probably it's not looking pretty strong. So a guy like Koonce could literally get paid.
Overpaid,
And I'm sure,
bro.
I'm,
And
I'm
look,
sure, I'm sure his agent can probably be in his ear like, "Hey, look, this is what it's looking like."
exactly.
I'm gonna look at
It,
edge.
it,
I'm gonna look at edge and see if that changes because
it,
sometimes,
it's like this. It's like the same thing with Shador Sanders, right? Shador Sanders could have came out this year, but why come out this year? You can come back next year in the quarterback class that's expected to be much weaker, and that only boosts your draft position that much higher. So like these agents are looking at that stuff, and I'm sure he's like, yeah, man, like, you know, hold on. And if the Raiders were smart, they would have did what they did with Darren Waller, like overpay him right now, so that deal looks like a bargain in 2 or 3 years. And if nothing else, he's a trade chip. You know, hey, we got Tyree, we got control over this edge rusher right here. Do like Denver did with Bradley Chubb, and like, you know, they made a deal. So I think that will be the smart move. You want to control players like that for as long as you can, or have them under team control, so that way you have options. If he walks in free agent, that's just basically a sunk cost at that point.
Oh, you know who's gonna be a free agent edge rusher? Man, y'all gonna love this. Cleveland Farrell, man.
Hey,
bring him back. Bring him back.
man.
Now, but Khalil Mack, but he's up there in age. I'm kind of looking at players that are more like in their prime. You know what I mean? Those are the players that usually get all the money in free agents. I mean, there's probably some examples of older pass rusher free agents getting some money, but those are like exceptions to the rule. And Khalil Mack might be one of those guys, but Koonce, man, if he has a big year this year, he could get paid because there's not a lot of competition. Not a lot of like competition here. I'm not looking at anybody on here. Maybe a guy like Chase Young, but we all know what's the issue with Chase Young throughout his career is he's injured.
I can see Chase Young being kind of like what Yannick Ngakoue is starting to become, where it's like he's going to wait for that team that didn't get the top free agent, maybe missed on someone in the draft, and now you need someone that is going to be somewhat effective off the edge. And I kind of see Chase Young starting to become that a little bit.
Oh, he's playing. He's playing for the Saints. We'll see how that shakes out. But he's playing for the Saints. Okay, I thought he went to the Lions. I don't know why I thought he went to the Lions. But okay, yeah, man. So it's not a strong class. So you guys might be right, man. Koonce might bet on himself, and man, he might be getting paid next offseason. Hopefully the Raiders could keep him, but we could keep talking about who can get extended, who the free agents. There's gonna be plenty of time to talk about that, man. This has been a great show. Real talk, Raider Nation, Raiders 805, man. Appreciate you coming through. Great conversation. Hey, yes, man, we had a great time in Vegas. Shout out to that was a really good time, and hopefully we're able to do that again. Yeah, facts. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts, man? Like, I'll say, just let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You can get me. I got my own channel, Real Talk Raider Nation. If you haven't been on it, I go on there, as much as I possibly can, and just kind of give my takes. And so you can go check that out on YouTube. I am on social media _805 Raider. Not even a full season in yet of kind of doing this, and so I'm testing the waters. This off season's been very interesting because you gotta make sure that you really pay attention to and just. If you understand the game enough, you can kind of get some ideas as to what the coaching staff is doing and some of the moves that need to be made. And so luckily in my years of playing and coaching, I can kind of see a little bit and have enough to kind of talk about and share. But a lot of it is, again, just my opinion. And I do my best to engage with everybody that's comments and is on my channel, because I'm not the end all be all. I have a lot to learn, but I have a lot to share at the same time. So I enjoy it. But for you guys, Pharaoh, Severe, man, if you guys are in Vegas, you got to let me know. If you guys are coming out to a game, you got to let me know.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we're going to let you know, man. It's especially we were actually talking about that, especially when the schedule came out. We were talking about games that we should go to. We're definitely looking at that first game in L.A. I'm not sure if you check that out, but I think everybody's kind of been looking at that first game in L.A. Jim Harbaugh is in L.A. now. Like, everybody's kind of excited. And, we all know L.A. it's a home game. You know what I mean? So we got to include that as part of the home schedule for the Raiders. So I think for right now, that's the game that I'm looking at. Some other games, I'm still looking at some other games. I'm kind of thinking about that Saints game, but that's kind of like all the way at the end of the season. So I don't know.
You want to go to New Orleans? I mean,
man,
that's right before New Year's too, right? Right before New Year's.
Oh yeah.
But if you talk to anybody from New Orleans, man, hey, you're gonna gain like probably 15, 20 pounds after that trip, man. That's
100%.
The food
100%.
is crazy. Food is crazy, man. But
I'll tell you right now, and I tell this to everybody: if you're out there viewing and you are thinking about going to a game, and you're coming from a distance, you're coming from out of state, these games are expensive. It's no secret, right? The tickets are expensive, the hotels are expensive, plane flights are expensive. You got to fly. The one game, if you can go, I mean, it's. I know it's the last week of the season, but the Charger game last week of the season. If you want to know what a Raider game feels like, one of my viewers, they're from Canada, and they want to bring their family to a Raider home game. They want to bring their kids and everything. And I'm like, if you're going to go to one game, go to a Charger game in Raider Stadium, because that's the only game as it stands right now. Hopefully it improves. It's the only game.
You're talking about two stadiums here, man. You got to be real specific. Not because there's the LA home stadium for the Raiders, and then there's the Las Vegas.
If you're going to go to a home game in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium,
there you
go to the Charger one, because that is what a home game in Oakland used to feel like. I mean, they Raider fans come out, and we come heavy. Hard part is all the other games, it's up in the air what's going to really change it. I think winning might help, but at the same time, I've done enough research to where it's going to be hard to really get that Oakland feel ever again at Allegiant. So
yeah, they're gonna have to win. I think that Panthers game is probably going to be a good game to go to. I feel like I don't know Panthers fan base.
The only thing about the Chargers game is that if it's at the end of the year, I mean, we're not expecting it to be this way. But if it's like, if the Raiders are like, if Aiden O'Connell doesn't do what we hoping he can do, and it's like it's a bad season, like I don't know if people will. I don't know what that game's gonna feel like. That might be like
I agree, and Pharaoh, to your point, I do think that Carolina game might be one of the better games to go to, because the amount of hype that people are excited about AP and just some of these things with our team, the way that the defense is developing. I think that before the season gets started, before wins, losses start to fly, I think that Carolina game might be a damn good one to go to as a Raider. So, because I mean, it's Carolina Panthers. I just don't know how much they're going to travel. So
yeah, and then
then you get to see Bryce Young too. Bryce Young, Xavier Legette. Get to see Xavier Legette in person.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna talk mess until the season starts, but because I want to see how this offense looks like. I want to see how when everything is clicking on all cylinders, and we're probably not gonna see that until like training camp, preseason, maybe in the first couple of games, just because they're gonna be trying to figure out their identity. I think they know what they want to do on offense, and then it's gonna be running the ball and just have a physical brand of football, but. It's a wait and see. We got to see what it looks like on offense, because obviously Lou Getsy, his history is being top 3, top 5 and running the football, but then he's had experience being in Green Bay and having a successful passing offense. But was he really calling the shots there? You know what I mean? What is it going to look like when now he has all these pieces on offense? There's so many questions, man. We won't know the answers until we get to preseason and training camp, and hopefully it all works out, man. But hey, Raider Nation, hey man, we're not going anywhere. I'm just letting y'all know, man. Make sure to hit that like button, clock in, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. We just had a great guest, my guy, Real Raider 805, man. Real Talk Raider Nation, man. You know where to find them on YouTube, all over social media. Hey, if you guys like these collabs, just hit that like button, hit that subscribe and hit that notification bell so we can keep doing this. And we love collabing with Raider Nation. So we want to keep doing this. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that good stuff. Just hang on. We're gonna hit up the chat in just a second, man. Real talk, man. We appreciate you coming through, man.
Appreciate you guys, man. Have a great night. Have a great show. And I'll see you guys on the next one, man. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. We back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We
yes,
back,
sir.
man. Y'all thought it was over? Y'all thought it was over?
Some people was dipping out.
50-50 Show.
Man, hey, great interview with Real Talk, man. Appreciate him coming through and chopping it up with us, man. Like I said, we had a great time in Vegas. We had to chop it up with him, and then hopefully we get to link up to a game with just not him, but everybody in the the night crew, man. Everybody that pulls up in Raider Nation, man. We appreciate y'all, man. So we would love to link up with y'all during the season. So I know I got my eye on that first game of the season against the Chargers in LA. Home game.
Yeah.
So that's
exactly.
that's definitely going to be a game that I think a lot of Raider fans is probably circling on the schedule. But, man, great show with Real Talk. Like I said, we appreciate him coming through. My mods can post his link. Real Talk Raider Nation is where you can find him on YouTube. He's all over social media. But, obviously, if he's on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. All that good stuff. But, hey, man, like I said, the show is not over, man. We got a lot to talk about. Not nothing too crazy, nothing too... but the usual stuff, and
exactly.
and we won't start it off before we the chat, y'all need to calm down, man. Y'all need to calm down. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Y'all need to calm down. That's all I'm gonna say. Just calm down. Everything's gonna be okay.
This goes down in the DMs. It's going down in the chat, man. For real.
Man. Nah, look. You don't gotta agree. We respect everybody's opinions. But but obviously keep it respectful, man. I'm looking at the chat. I'm like, man, this is not. I'm not used to seeing this. This is mayhem, man. It's mayhem. I think Space B said it earlier in the chat. He was like Monday mayhem, man. And I'm about to copyright that. You know what I'm saying? So no one take that. That's gonna be a future.
I haven't seen that many insults in the chat not directed at me in a long time.
Nah, for real, man. That's hella funny, man. That's hella funny. But it was a whole lot of people like, huh? Like what? Man, I'm trying to get through the chat, but y'all y'all going back and forth. It's crazy right now. Cage, man, shout out to you, man. He goes, Raiders, man. I got you, man. 2024 version. I got you, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Hey, look. Let's lead it off real quick, man. We got it's flag on the play. You know what I mean? Y'all already know what time it is.
69 offense. He was giving them the business.
Flag on the play. So this week, Severe, you brought this to my attention. I seen it real quick, but And I can see why you called it a flag on the play. Recently, a contract extension was given out to former number 1 pick, the quarterback for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. And, man, I'm going to pull up the details, actually, of that contract but I think it's an average of $55 million a year. And I know you sent me a graphic of comparing the numbers between Gardner Minshew, a guy that's been a journeyman quarterback, and obviously he's competing for the starting role for the Raiders, but he's been a backup everywhere he's went. And when you look at the numbers, and I'm going to put this on the screen. Let's see if y'all can see this as well. Hold on 1 second. And let's see here. Let me see if I could put this on the screen. Ooh, let's see. All right, let's... Let me see if y'all can see this. Can y'all see it? I don't know if y'all can see it in chat.
I think they can see it. You back it up a little bit more.
Let's see. All right. So, y'all good? Y'all can see that? Oh shit! Flag on the play. Let's just put flag right there. All right. So flag on the play, man. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Just look at the numbers real quick, man. Real quick. Yeah. Just look at the numbers, man. This is Gardner Minshew, journeyman quarterback. He's been a backup everywhere he's gone. He's competing for the starting role for the Raiders, but like I said, completely different quarterback when you compare him to Trevor Lawrence and how he's treated because he's the number 1 pick. But look, 59 touchdowns to 58 touchdowns. 24 interceptions, 39 with Trevor Lawrence. You know, got the 90 QB rating, 85 with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know, pass attempts. You know, obviously Trevor Lawrence being the starter since he came in. You know, you can see there's a little bit of a difference there, but games played 49 to 50.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting, man. So hold up. So what were your thoughts, man, when you seen that contract? I'm gonna pull up the details real quick. But what were your thoughts initially when you seen that contract?
I mean, it just shows you how valuable the quarterback position is in the NFL. And once you have a guy that you think is your guy, or you think has the potential to be your guy, you kind of got to move heaven and earth to keep them in the building, which shows you why it's so important to get these rookie quarterbacks and to win early. Like the Jaguars, they weren't able to win early, and now, you know, so in the past, and this might be a good thing for the league, because the Jaguars, the way they've been throwing around money, has been like basically screwing up the markets for other positions. Like they destroyed the wide receiver market. Like that's why we end up having to pay Devontae so much, because all the money that they were giving out that one offseason. So maybe them not having that spending power is a good thing for everybody else. But ideally, you know, you want to win while the quarterback is on his rookie contract. That gives you more flexibility in terms of salary cap and what you can do on the roster. Now that they don't have that flexibility anymore, they have to be a little bit more intelligent with their draft picks. So I think that puts them in a tough position, especially with the Houston Texans coming on as strong as they have in that AFC South. I mean, it's going to be a very tough road to hoe for the Jaguars, man. So right now I'm thankful that we're only paying Gardner Minshew, you know, what's in comparison a very, very minimum amount of money for essentially the same amount of production.
Yeah, it's because he hasn't really done too much. But talent-wise, I'm looking at him as a more talented player than Minshew. He's bigger, more athletic, bigger arm. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think
just to
put just to put a little bit more context, his rookie year, who do you have as coach? Urban Meyer, and that was like a disaster. And then obviously when he got Doug Peterson, it was night and day, big difference.
Yeah.
Second year, you know, he got hurt. He wasn't as healthy. You know, wasn't as good as he was that first year with Doug Peterson. But so here's the contract details if y'all haven't seen it. I know some of y'all have, but so it's reported that that the contract is worth up to $275 million, with $200 million in total guarantees, $142 million fully guaranteed. His $55 million average annual salary matches that of Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow, making them the highest paid players in the NFL. So, man, it's just
automatic flag.
Yeah. And this is why, like, and this is another reason too, because I've seen rumors where guys like Dak Prescott comes available. They're trying to connect the Raiders to Dak, and I'm like, huh? I'm just like, man, are you serious? Like that?
Bro.
That's how you. I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with getting a quarterback in free agency unless, like, I mean, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. I mean, if we're like right there, you know what I mean? If we're right there, like think about when Peyton Manning was a free agent. You know, when he was available after he left the Colts. Went to Denver, they won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. Like, there's going to be exceptions to the rule, but Dak Prescott is not in that territory for me to be like, oh, okay, we get him, we're going to win the Super Bowl. No.
Exactly.
You know, he's not a bad quarterback. It's just that the type of money that he's going to be getting paid, and we still have to fill out other parts of the roster. I don't think it's going to be a good idea. But my point is that every year quarterbacks are going to get paid. It is what it is. You know, Jaguars, that's their franchise QB, but it's crazy to see those numbers, and like Lawrence really hasn't done too much. Nah. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. So definitely flag on the play, but it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen.
If you're definitely.
If you're a quarterback in the NFL, man, you're in a great spot, bro. You're getting paid. You got longevity. You got security. You got everything, man.
Look at Kirk Cousins, bro. Kirk Cousins has been living large on like mediocre play for his entire career.
Exactly. So definitely a flag on the play. But we're going to move it along. Let me try to get into the chat real quick. Marty Mart says his first I'm going first home preseason and LA Chargers and LA Rams. Okay, so you're going to both LA games, both home games. There you go. Okay, I like that. Go ahead and put that right here, man. Marty Mart, we might see you. At least are you going to the Chargers? Is it official or?
Yeah, I'm going to the Chargers game.
Oh yeah. I'm
going to the Chargers game.
Man, gonna be there. We gonna be at that Chargers game for sure.
For sure.
So we might see a lot of y'all at that game, man. Don't be afraid, man. Just let us know. Introduce yourselves with the chat name, because that's all we have, man. That's all we have. That's why we actually tell y'all to put a picture, put the name. You know what I mean? Sometimes some of the chat names.
User 10, 11, 195, XYZ. Like, come on, bro.
Come on. But Marty Mart, we seen you, man. We've seen you in Vegas, man. So it's all good, man. So we'll see you at that Chargers game. Let's see. Here we go. House Junkie says he'll be at the Browns game. Ooh, okay. At home. So in Vegas, Browns, definitely that's a good one, especially he's not in Cleveland, because we know how ugly Cleveland could get as far as the weather and stuff like that. So that's definitely a win for the Raiders. But that's gonna be a physical game defensively.
Yeah.
Cleveland is one of the best defenses in the NFL, and I hope this is not the year that Deshaun Watson figures it out. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like that, because they showing like clips of him missing like receivers wide open in practice, but it's OTAs or whatever. But he hasn't been the same since he came back from his long hiatus. But yeah, let's move it along, man. Let's get to the.
I just think about that Cleveland game, man. Just think about Myles Garrett versus Thayer Munford.
You say you're thinking about Myles Garrett versus Thayer
Munford. Yeah, bro, that's gonna be
I'm not, but I would Myles Garrett versus both our tackles. I mean, much respect to Cole Miller, but Myles Garrett is a monster.
He's a monster, man, but I mean,
a man amongst boys, man. He's crazy. It's crazy. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, if he's going up against Thayer Munford, hey man, this is his time, man. This is his year to show, Raider Nation, the team, that he could be a legitimate starting tackle, or at the very least a swing tackle. There's nothing wrong with that too. If he's a swing tackle, that's cool, because he's had some. He's come in and started some games. It's not like
that's some success.
It's not like
he said he's keeping receipts, man. So yeah. I hope he keeping receipts, man. Hope he keeping receipts like he said he is. So we gonna see.
Yeah. So Severe, I'm about to play a notable quotable. I know you sent me a AP quote. What was the other one that you wanted? Because I know we had a few.
We can roll with the AP one. The AP one is kind of long, actually. We can roll with the AP quote.
Just AP alone. AP, just AP.
Yeah. Roll AP. I know but basically this question is during AP's presser. Of course he canceled practice. The team had done such a good job during the first 2 days of the mandatory mini camps that he gave those guys basically the rest of the time off until the team reconvened for training camp in July. And he went out there and he talked to the reporters, and they were asking him some questions about his coaching staff. And I think his answer here is essentially why I think he will succeed where our previous coach failed.
No, and I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip real quick and let y'all hear what AP had to say. This is last week's presser. So AP, man, he knows how to get everybody hyped, man. That's all I gotta say.
Facts.
We talked to a lot of the assistants the last few weeks, and a lot of them have mentioned how you've empowered them as assistant coaches to kind of lead their rooms or whatever their responsibility may be. Why was that something that was important for you to do, kind of taking over as head coach?
Yeah, because I can't do everything. I can't be in every room. Just like right now, we got meetings going on. I can't be in there. But it really started with our staff, having them present in front of the entire staff, different projects, both offense versus defense to offense and special teams, getting some of our younger coaches to speak up and talk. As you can see, we hired a pretty, I think, a really good staff, and it's a lot of us, 29 coaches to be exact. And there's a lot of knowledge there. And it's a shame that if we don't share that knowledge, not just to the coaches, but to our players. So I want to make sure that they know that their voice can be heard, they can speak, but at the same time, there's a time and place, and everybody knows their role. But I'll be a fool not to have the gentleman that I brought in this building speak and have that empowerment to talk to the players and vice versa.
So that was AP, man. What were your thoughts on his presser, man? Just overall, and obviously the what he just said right now.
Yeah, man. AP, he knows, as you alluded to, man. AP knows how to get people excited, man. He knows how to get people ready. Get them raring to go, whether it be for the players for a game or the fans for a season. He's just a very charismatic guy. Like people just love to hear that guy talk. They can speak to him all day, which is kind of the opposite of our previous coach, where they couldn't wait for that guy to stop talking. And just overall, man, like the sense you get from him is that he has no ego, and that's not exactly the sense that we got from the previous coach, the previous two coaches. To be honest with you, those guys were all about kind of themselves and their way of doing things. Where AP is more of a collaborative effort, and when you do things those ways, now obviously you have to understand that the buck stops with you, and at the end of the day, you have to be able to make final call and live with that decision. But you also want to get input from everybody, and you want to take all the knowledge that's in that room, and not be afraid to have different opinions, not to be afraid to have people tell you, what, I don't think we should do it that way, and actually take heed to it and listen to what they're saying. And I don't think that was done in the previous regimes, which is part of the reason why they failed, and which is why I'm thinking AP will have success.
Yeah, man, and you know what? Shout out to Paul, man. Real Talk Raider Nation, man. Make sure go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, man. I just at this point, man, I want to see how it looks like a full 16. Well, not 16 now, and it's 17 game season. Soon to be 18. Soon to be 19. Man, exactly. They keep adding games, man. I mean, for years it was 16, and back in the day, if you want to take it back to like
it's 15.
Before my time, I think it was like 13. It was like before my time, but like it was at 13 at one point. But yeah, I grew up with the season being 16 games. So now they're just trying to add a game each year. But I don't know how that's going to work out, especially when negotiation with the player association and the NFL. Like that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, AP at this point, I want to see how it looks like on a full season where he has his full staff. Like, it's one thing to be a player's coach, but at the same time, how does it look like in a full season? Because I know we've talked before, man. I know you had your doubts early on, like, is this guy? And I've heard some people say, like, like it's a really small sample size, just the craziness of last season, how like McDaniels wasn't the guy, and then obviously AP was a breath of fresh air. He was able to come in and like kind of re-energize the team, but now it's his team. Now he has a whole offseason to prepare. Now he has his own coaching staff. Now he really needs to manage the game. There's no excuses now. Like, hey, look, we understand now, like, you were interim head coach. First time, you've never been a coordinator, let alone a head coach in the college or pro level. And now this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity right now. And I think the expectations are going to be a little bit higher now. How is that going to look like for APZ? So it's going to be interesting to see, because I believe I want to believe in AP, but at the same time, there's a little bit of like, all right, how is it going to look like overall, man? Hopefully, it translates to wins, because it's one thing to be a player's coach, but at the end of the day, like, you got to win, and if you ain't winning, then it don't matter if you're a player's coach. It don't matter if you're disciplinarian, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, all that matters is you got to win. And let me get into the chat right now, because this is going crazy. I got to sift through a lot of the craziness.
Yeah, but one thing I would say about AP, two things I would say about AP is that AP has to continue to win the streak for Compton because Compton is up right now, so you got to kind of continue to win the streak after what Kendrick did, and then and then and then another thing is that AP can't. I don't think it's a situation where he can get too high, just because he has so many. Like, even though all of Raider Nation, we have faith in him, there are so many people outside of our fan base that doubts what he can do, especially against Andy Reid and Jim Harbaugh and Sean Payton. You got three very experienced coaches. All three, two of them Super Bowl winners, one of them coming off a national championship in college, so they all have rings. They've all won championships at their different respective levels. So he's technically still the underdog, so it's kind of hard to get full of yourself when you're still the underdog.
Yeah. I just had a question. Safe Belair. Hold on, let me see if I can put this up. Safe Belair says, what are your thoughts about Mac's continuous play at the 95% play rate? Or I don't know if they did this on purpose, but they used to have him play 98%. I don't know if they did it on purpose. But it's a big coincidence. His number is 98. Yeah. But giving his knee injury last year, I think Koonce will play plenty along with Wilson. So he's. What do you have to say for Safe Blair's question here?
I think that basically that decision is pretty much wholly up to Max Crosby. Max Crosby, late in the season, they tried to pull him off the field, and rather than leave the field, the Raiders had to call a timeout to stop from getting the penalty from having too many men on the field, because he refused to leave the field. So he's the leader of the team. He's the heartbeat of the team. The team is the defense for sure is going to go as he goes. I believe the team's going to go as he goes too. So I think it's up to him. I think they would like to keep him fresh, not have him take a pounding. But Max is one of those guys that you're not going to keep him off the field. And if he can play, AP has already said he's going to let Max do Max. He's not going to try to corral Max or change Max. He's going to let Max do Max. And if Max wants to play, he's going to let Max play unless it gets to a situation where they have to protect him from himself. I think he'll make that tough call. But if Max says he's ready to go, AP is a player. I think he has that trust and that understanding of when a guy can and when he can't go, and the same thing with everybody on his coaching staff. So they'll kind of know when they have to rein him in. So as long as Max wants to play, he'll be out there.
Yeah, and then I'm sure they're going to have a system in place. And I think Max is the type of person he's a team player, so it's not like he's all about me. I'm gonna want to play every down or whatever. Obviously, the coaches want to put him there on every play, but they're gonna have a plan there on that D line, especially because they got a lot more depth now. Now you got Koonce, you got Tyree Wilson back there, you got different guys coming in, and you got Christian Wilkins on that D line. So the D line got some depth to it now. So now, I think you could see Max buying in to what they got. Think about when Gus Bradley got here. His plan at that D line was like attacking in waves, and especially that year, I felt like that was the year where we kind of seen Raiders got a really good D line. Yeah, we from Max Crosby to that committee, that D tackle by committee. And then obviously, to be honest with you, now that I think, Ngakwe was on that team as well. So there you go. Yeah, so there you go. So we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting, especially as he ages too. Is he still going to play that same?
I think the smart thing to do is to wind him, especially right now. We have the horses. We have Koonce, we have Tyree, we have even Robinson. I like him. I like his skill set. So we have the horses to do it, and we still have impact guys in the middle. So it's not like if Max comes out, we still Christian Wilkins is still there. Koonce can still be on the field. Tyree can still fill in. But I just think Max doesn't do all he does. He doesn't work as hard as he does on his craft to leave the field, right? He's doing all that stuff so he can stay on the field as much as possible. So, I think it's a situation where they're going to have to basically drag him off the field. And then if they think that's what's best for him, they just may have to do that.
Yeah, man. So we'll see. So let's move along to what's real and what's not, man. And this is where we kind of say a statement. If y'all new to the show, man, and this is where we say a statement and we kind of react to if it's real or it's not, kind of like true and false. But instead, we say what's real, what's not on the channel, man. So let us know. I'm gonna go ahead and say the first statement here, and I think you sent me a clip, but I think that was probably from earlier. But I'm gonna go ahead and say this statement here. So the Raiders will sign Koonce to an extension, or they'll franchise him instead of letting him walk as a free agent. Is that real or is it not?
Yeah, man, kind of as we talked about during our interview with 805, man, I think that is not real. I think basically at the end of the day, man, if they aren't able to sign him before the season, I don't think something gets done, and I think he ends up walking as a free agent. He kind of sees the writing on the wall. It's not a lot of big name free agents coming out next year. I think the guy from Pittsburgh, not Watt, the other guy, Highsmith. I think Highsmith is a free agent. But those, like, I think that's the only other like really big name that's going to be a free agent, I believe.
Yeah,
unless he got a deal already.
Is he a free agent? Because I didn't see a lot of good pass rushers coming out next. But
I think he's a free agent.
Okay.
I think he's free. I have to look into it, but I think he's a free agent.
No,
so,
he's pretty good.
He's good. He's good. So I mean, but like that's all. I mean, even if he does come out, it's not like it's deep, right? Not like there's a deep like pass rush class in free agency next year. So that's just gonna push the value of a guy like Malcolm Koonce up, which is why I was adamant that we signed him earlier in the process. But I think his agent and him are going to take a look at what the market is looking like next year, seeing some of these big deals that are getting signed, and say, you know what, I'll take my chances with what building upon what I did last year, and seeing what this free agent market offers me, and then maybe he'll go back to the Raiders and see if they're willing to match it. And I think they call him coupon time. I don't think he's gonna pony up that money.
Well, look, I think there is a possibility. There's a chance. So I'm gonna say that it's real, but with like a little bit of asterisk. The only reason why I say this is because we don't know what Wilson will be. Because what we seen early on, we're like, I don't know, because we've seen so many first round picks not turn out to be the player that they're supposed to be, and like we seen how Koonce kind of started out, and we're like, I don't know. But that being said, we're giving him a little bit of grace because he is a rookie. He was coming off an injury. He wasn't supposed to play right off the bat. We all know the Chandler Jones saga, that whole situation. No one would have expected that to happen. So it's not like Tyree Wilson was coming in, even as a first round pick, top 10 pick. I don't think he was supposed to be projected to be the starter year one. And the injury that he had, it was reported by like sports doctors saying that like he wasn't going to be 100%, which is crazy, until year two. Let's just be honest, year two. So we'll see. I'll give him the benefit of doubt, but there's a chance where it doesn't work out with Tyree Wilson. He just looks like a solid role player. Then if you got a Koonce, you got a guy, we know pass rushers. We're in a division where we're going against Mahomes. We got Mahomes in our division. We can't play around. I mean, like right now, we don't have a franchise quarterback. We don't have the ultimate equalizer. So we got to look at the other equalizer, and that's a pass rush to get after the quarterback. And if we're able to get Koonce, and it's not like we're paying a quarterback right now, which usually takes a lot of the cap space. Yeah. So I think it could be a possibility, especially if Koonce is he turns out next year, like he turns it to another level where he's getting a whole bunch of sacks, whole bunch of pressures. Him and Crosby are like a 1-2 combination. It could be a possibility where the Raiders, they're not going to let a good player leave the building, and they're going to do whatever it takes to keep him in the building, and that might possibly be to franchise him or give him a long-term deal. So I could see it happening. But if Wilson balls out, then you could see Tom Telesco be like, you know what, we don't really have to bring you, but this is a luxury. But the Raiders did draft 2 tight ends in a row, like 2 years in a row. So so luxury ain't gonna stop Tom Telesco.
Yeah. Only thing about the franchise is that I don't know what the number would be, but the number is going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy number to franchise them. So that's why that was like a last resort, and I think that they'd be better off. Of those guys we're speaking about, they'll be better off if they can't get a deal done with all those guys. Maybe you sign Nate Hobbs and franchise Spillane. Like the franchise number for Spillane is probably going to be like half of what the number is for Malcolm Koonce, right? So, if you can only keep X amount of those guys, you got to figure out a way how best to allocate your resources, especially in a salary cap league, and spending that much money on franchising Koonce may be something that they kind of shy away from, just because like it's going to be a whole bunch of money.
Man, yeah. And I'm just saying right now, the Raiders do have the flexibility and the luxury to sign players at other different parts of their team, like right now, because that not having a quarterback on a super mega deal like gives you that flexibility. So I'm just saying there is a possibility where the Raiders can franchise Koonce. It's just that certain things need to happen for them to be like, you know what, we don't have a replacement. We don't have a plan to replace. Like Tyree Wilson is not the guy that we thought he was going to be. You know what I mean? And there's no one else outside of Koonce and Tyree. Do we have another edge rusher on the roster that could possibly be a potential like, oh yeah, like this guy can possibly replace? No, we don't have that. So, you know what I mean? So, unless the Raiders go into next offseason and be like, you know what, we're going to draft another pass rusher in the first round. So, I just think that there's a good possibility that, Koonce can get that franchise. It just really depends on Tyree, in my opinion. But let's move on to the second what's real, what's not. And the second one here, and this is a good one right here. This is a good one. More than 2 undrafted free agents will make the final 53-man roster. More than 2. Is that real or is that not?
I'm going to say not, man. Right now, the only one I think will make it, I have Tulu Griffin making it. I would like to see Ramel Keaton make it as well, just for more speed. But they picked up Guyton. I think they want a little bit more veteran present there, and they also have Gallup. I would like to see both those guys make it, Tulu Griffin and Guyton, but I don't see it happen. But I think Tulu Griffin will be a guy that makes the team.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard to really say because it's not like we have a whole, like I'm looking at the team, right? I'm looking at like certain positions that don't have a whole lot of depth. And if you probably could look at maybe corner, we have some players there, but then it's already a young position. So you can an undrafted free agent possibly make the roster? They drafted some guys in the I don't think a corner might be. That's gonna be tough. But I could see receiver too, just because outside of the first 3 receivers, Trey Tucker, Devontae Adams, and obviously Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
That 4th receiver spot, you can say Gallup has it down just based off his experience as a veteran, but you know it's never guaranteed. There's so many times where we expected a guy to make a team, but then there's always going to be the surprise cuts. But we're penciling in Gallup, and then there's that 5th receiver spot, and on top of that, the new rule change with kickoff returners, and then we need some speed. So it's like, all right, this is perfect for an undrafted guy to come in and be a contributor. So, yeah, I agree with you there. I think receiver is definitely a spot that I can see an undrafted free agent going in. So, me and Severe on the same page, man. We on the same page. Man. Safe B Layer wants to, he's talking about what the first what's real, what's not. He says franchise Koonce is a very real if he balls out this year. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean,
if he balls out. And then Koonce and Wilson gives you 2 sacks, or you know what I mean, like 1 sack, or it's not really about all sacks because obviously Max Crosby will. There's so many other guys, but if he's not making an impact,
Yeah,
then it's
if he doesn't show the leap that they're looking for, I can see it. But like, man, that franchise tag is. I mean, I don't know if you can look it up what the number will be next year for a defensive end, but it's going to be like crazy. It's going to be crazy money, bro. It's going to be crazy money to franchise him. So that, like I said, if they decide to, I can see why they would say, you know what, we'll let him walk and we'll roll with what we have in Tyree and hope he continues to develop and keep everything else kind of in place around Max and around Christian Wilkins, because I think they feel that those guys are cornerstone pieces of a defense.
Yeah, no, not facts, man. And look, man, let me get into the chat real quick, man, because I'm trying to keep up with this, man. And if we're able to get to the chat, make sure to leave a comment after the show ends, so then we can get to your thoughts, man. Because there's so many people leaving the chat, man. I'm trying to get to everybody right now. Marty Marr says Wilson's on the wild card, one of 3 teams: Raiders, Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville. Are you talking about Tyree, or are you talking about Russell Wilson? Like, let's see. Let's get to the man. Jerry Watson says Tay being traded or what? The Rams rumor stuff. Nah. I don't see Adams being traded. I don't see Adams getting traded.
No,
that's crazy.
No.
That's not gonna happen. If the Raiders were gonna trade Adams, they would have traded him already, and they would have got a first-round pick. I'm sure, like, the Jets would have gave up a first-round pick, but it's too little, too late at this point. They're not trading him. Let's see, man. Y'all need to, man. People talking so much trash right now. But how do you know about Tyree Wilson? So Arnold says, how do you know about Tyree? Wilkins took 3 years. It's true. It's true. But then if he's not an impact player by next season, right? And let's say he becomes that in year 3, but he doesn't do anything next year, and then you have Koonce on the roster, and he follows up last season with a fully great season, like meaning like he gets 10 plus sacks, for some turnovers, some strip sacks, makes some plays. He's that guy on the other side. You're telling me that you're gonna put all your eggs on one basket with Tyree Wilson, just based off what you've seen so far? And I'm just hypothetically speaking. There's a good chance that Tyree could obviously be a good player next season, but if he's not, then I think Koonce could be a possibility. We either extend him, but I think what the what's real what not statement was if we don't give him that contract, do you think the Raiders would franchise him? And I think that's an easy yes, to be honest.
I mean,
that's
2 guys signed the franchise tag this past year: Brian Burns and Josh Allen, and it was $24 million. $24 million for the 1 year. So
for Josh Allen,
and Brian Burns, same amount, $24 million.
And they can do that. The Raiders can do that. For a lot of y'all that says, "Oh, that's a lot of money." First of all, pass rushers get paid. First of all, and pass rusher is a high value position. You need to get to the quarterback. How do you get to the quarterback? You got to have guys that can get there. And number 2, we don't have a quarterback on this roster right now that we can say 100% is the franchise guy, and they're not getting paid like that. That's the luxury of having a quarterback on a rookie deal or on a contract where they're not taking a lot of cap space. You can be aggressive and sign other players at different spots in the roster and give them big contracts. You can make it work. Now, if we had a Patrick Mahomes, or we had like a superstar QB on a superstar deal, then that's when we can all agree, like, I don't know if we're going to be able to, if the Raiders or whatever team would be able to afford to give out like a huge contract. They can only give a limited amount of contracts, especially when when the quarterback takes up that much cap space. So
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying, man. It can go either way. It can go either way, man. Hey, look, man, it's been a great show. Man, If y'all just joining us, make sure to check out the replay. Make sure to clock in, man. Clock out at this point. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. All that good stuff.
Yes.
We appreciate y'all's support. We've been here like for a couple hours, man. Like that, man. Great interview.
Leave a comment down below, man. I know the chat going crazy. If we can't get to the chat, man, leave a comment down below.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I know we weren't able to get to everybody's chat. It's all good. Make sure to leave a comment after the show. We'll get to it. And yeah, man, and we'll be able to like talk about whatever's on your mind, man, as far as where the offseason is headed. What do you think about the roster, the players, who you think is going to win that quarterback position? Should Koonce get franchised if that's a possibility? Or should we let him walk? Man, Tyree's going to be the guy. They already drafted that guy. He's on a rookie deal. Let him develop. But if Tyree is trash next year, when I say trash, I mean like this dude is literally like there's no impact. Like we're not talking about Tyree in no given moment when we're watching a game. Like we were like, is Tyree playing? Oh yeah, he played. It's just he's just not getting pressure and he's still slow to get off the snap. You know what I mean? If we're seeing that, you're telling me. You think that's still going to be there even after offseason with Max Crosby?
This is going to be an issue. I mean, it's just some people have fast twitch muscles, some people don't. It's just that's going to probably it can improve, but you know, some people have it, some people don't. But you know, as the guy was saying, man, Christian Wilkins was pretty subpar his first 2-3 years in the league, and then he figured it out. I think Tyree is good enough. I was the biggest Tyree critic. I think Tyree is good enough to figure it out. Shut up, Daniel Kim, my guy. Daniel Kim, what's up?
Daniel Kim in the building, man. King of Mods finally pulled up.
Daniel Kim, after the destruction in the chat, Daniel Kim rose up like, what the heck? Like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, man. It's a lot of craziness, man. Jerry Watson, man, I feel you, man.
Man, Jerry Watson, appreciate you tuning in, brother. Appreciate Marty Mart finally subbing to me. I finally earned a sub, man. Marty Mart was like, I give it to Severe, I guess. Give me a sub, man. So appreciate you, big dog.
Yeah. So make sure to subscribe to both channels, man. We're going live on both our channels. If you haven't subscribed to Severe, make sure to head over to his channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Clock in, man. Make sure to clock in. That's what clock in means, man. Make sure to
on vacation, man.
You on vacation, man? Hey, enjoy that vacation, man. We understand. Yes. We understand, man. It's that time of year, man. So definitely enjoy that vacation. It's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. Any last thoughts, Severe? What the people can look forward to, where they can find you? Let them know.
I mean, you guys know what it is. A Severe Raider. Holla at your boy. And make sure y'all sub. Hit those notification bells, like, comment, and you know, tune in next Monday, every Monday. You know, from here until forever, right? You know, until the wheels fall off this thing, bro. We're gonna be here. So you know, make sure y'all get down in the comment section, man. We both, you know, try to get to as many comments as we can, man. Just keep it respectful, keep it Raiders, and you know, we'll see y'all in the next one.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, just make sure that, you know, like I said, clock in, clock out at this point. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We're going live on both our channels, so you want to make sure you hit up both channels. We do this every Monday, so tune in, man. We've been consistent, so make sure to tune in. We're gonna be here next Monday, the 50/50 show. Just make sure to tune in and hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified once we go live every Monday nights. But also this week, Around the Shield with my guy Big Mike Raider and the Severe. Be on the lookout for that. We drop that every Thursday, so look forward to that as well. And this Thursday, just stay tuned. We'll be dropping that this Thursday as well, man. So we appreciate everybody coming through. And then before we head out, man,
Raiders smoke with the shot at the buzzer,
man. At the shot at the buzzer for real. My guy, man. C says salute. Thanks for the show, especially after watching the Celtics win. I know, man. I know, man. That was like I didn't even pay attention to that, man. I'll be honest with you, man. Like, oh man, it was ugly. It was ugly, man. That's just one of those. But I was telling Severe earlier too. like for me growing up, you know, obviously I grew up a Laker fan and a Warriors fan. I know that's crazy for y'all to hear out there, but the Warriors growing up were trash, and I was a Laker fan, and obviously Kobe Bryant, all that. You know, y'all know what it is. But the team I hated the most as an NBA fan, basketball fan, was the Spurs. I hated them with a passion, and the Kings too. The Kings too. When they were good, and the Lakers were going at it in the playoffs, definitely hated the Kings, but the Spurs especially were that team.
Yeah,
but
man.
yeah, the Celtics won. Where they at? Like 19 titles now? 19?
18
titles?
Man, that's number 18. Yep.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Smoke, man, we appreciate
man.
the super chat. We appreciate y'all
Always.
coming through. On the way out, make sure to clock out. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that all that good stuff, man.
Marty Mark said you got the Celtic green hat on, bro. He said you rocking
man,
the Celtics.
hey man, or Oakland A's, the Bay Area, edition of
the
now,
Oakland A's of Las Vegas. The
Oakland A's of Las Vegas. Damn, that's sad. Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that, man.
Man, people from the Bay gotta hate Vegas, bro. Yeah, I just gotta. If I was from the Bay, I would just go to Vegas and just piss on everything, bro. I'm pissing on light poles. I'm kicking over. I'm kicking over trash cans. I'm doing all kind of destruction, bro.
Man, Mark, for real, man. Hey, look, it's been a long show, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Make sure on the way out, man. We leaving. we out, man. Look, hey, it's a sad day for Laker fans to see the Celtics win. I get it, man. But we appreciate y'all, man. Till next time. Peace.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.